Check out this soil. This is about as hard as a rock. If I plant a seed in there and water it, it'll sprout, but then the roots are going to have nowhere to go. Perhaps you have a place like this in your garden. It's really frustrating when you're trying to grow plants because it feels like you need to till up the ground. Have you ever noticed that in forests, that is not the problem? And that's for two main reasons. One is that there is a nice layer of leaf mulch on the forest floor that keeps the microbes protected. And the second thing is the microbes. The microbes are just extremely robust. They will actually break up the soil by traveling through it, transport nutrients to the tree roots and the other plant roots. As it turns out, our ancestors for centuries have been culturing the microbes found in the forest. And that's what we have learned how to do over the past couple of years. We've been able to turn really rock hard soil into nice, tilthy soil. This is an example of what we were able to do in just 1 year. So you can see that this is nice and tilthy. Even the lower layers are going to break up very easily once they're watered. And this was just like the other place last year before we added our microbial solution. We learned this technique from a book on natural farming techniques, but it's a very simple recipe. You'll just need fully cooked and cooled potato, a handful of leaf mold soil, which is the soil directly below the leaf litter in an undisturbed forest, a large pinch of sea salt, and a bucket of dechlorinated water. I've gathered my ingredients. I've got my salt, my potatoes, my leaf mold soil, and the water. And so now I'm just going to put the salt directly into the water. It's just a large pinch. I'm going to put the potatoes in this bag. There's really not that much needed for this amount of water. And then I'm going to put just a handful of leaf mold soil in the bag. The way that I'm doing this is I'm just going to massage the bag in the water to break up the potatoes and get the soil dispersed and some of the carbs from the potatoes dispersed through. And the microbes are going to feed on that over the next couple days. All right, now I'm just going to cover it with this burlap, and I'll put a non-sealed lid on top, just something to weigh it down. And now we're going to wait a couple days, and we'll check on it over the next few days and see how quickly we're doing this experiment indoors, because there's actually a benefit to starting to put this on your soil even now. So we're going to be just using this to get our soil ready to plant in the last frost date. We'll be back to check on this in about 12 hours. So here we are 24 hours after, and it's kind of hard to tell, but you can start to see some bubbles forming on right around the edge of the bucket. Just very small bubbles. I'm going to try and get in there. What that's showing us is that the microbes are starting to feed on the carbohydrates from the potato, and they're multiplying. But so far, very little activity. Here we are 48 hours in, and it's really hard to tell on the camera, but there are tiny little bubbles, just some really trying to get real close. Little bubbles, so it's just barely foaming, and this is fermenting in a colder environment, so it's going to take a little bit longer, which is totally all right. Okay, guys, we are at day 6, and we're finally starting to see the bubbles and the foaming that we want to see to know that the microbial solution is at peak microbial development. So you can see that the bubbles are almost kind of holding up the leaf mold soil, and at this point there's kind of a disc that has formed and detached a little bit from the side of the bucket, and we're brewing this in like probably 55-degree temperature, ambient temperature. It took us a while to get here. That's kind of what you need to do. You got to be patient if you're going to do this in colder weather. If you're doing this in the heat of summer, this can take, this has taken less than 24 hours for us. But obviously here we're in 55 degrees and it takes a while. But now we're ready to use this on our soil. So we made this PDF for us to use to be able to track how many hours we've been brewing our microbial solution, as well as the ambient temperatures in the room or outdoors where we've been fermenting it. And we also have put a place where we can track our usage of it. And so that's exactly how we recommend that you use this, is that you want to be able to just write down the numbers so that you can learn how to do it more intuitively. Over time, you'll be able to just see it work. But in the early days, it actually really helps to write down this stuff. Just log the information, how long it takes to brew and to get peak foam. You see those bubbles bubbling up. Go ahead and download the PDF. Like I said, there's a link in the description box. So because we have no plants in the ground, it's too early to have planted anything for us. We're just going to water this in undiluted onto the beds, and it's just going to start the process, kind of kickstart the soil for these microbes to start developing. So here we're just going to start watering it in our beds. If you do have plants in the ground, make sure that you dilute this 1 part to 10 parts water. So 1 part microbial solution, 10 parts water. That way you don't risk burning your plants or oversaturating them with microbes and whatnot. And y'all, that is our microbial solution. I hope you found this helpful. Please go and make this. Try it out. It is a little bit tricky. It takes some kind of finagling to figure it out, but it's really worth it. In the future, we'll have videos on how to store it, how to make a customized version of it for each different type of plant. If that stuff interests you, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on every video we came out with. Thanks for watching.